It's now time for What's Up Asheville, sponsored by the City of Asheville, with the host, Mr. Sam Parada, and here he is.
What's up, Asheville? I'm Sam Parada, your host today in What's Up Asheville, here at WRES 100.7 FM. And today's guest is another member of my department, the communications department, Logan Smith. How are you?
Doing well. Thanks for having me, Sam.
Of course. It's always so much fun to spend time with you. So this is going to be a good half hour. And Logan is a communication specialist, but his title is the same as mine, but he does something a little different. So why don't you tell us, what do you do?
Yeah, so a lot of people in the CAPE department work with different departments to help them execute their communication strategies and the projects that they're working on. I focus a little bit more on our internal efforts. I help broadcast city council meetings, boards and commissions, and then another big part of my job is working on our hybrid meetings and virtual meetings plan going forward. We're doing a big renovation in one of our meeting chambers to accommodate hybrid meetings, giving people a little bit more access and a little bit more accessibility to participate in public meetings, and also working on a project that'll bring some exciting communications upgrades to some of our community spaces around the city.
Yeah, and not only that, but it's also a community-led effort. So let's just jump into it. It's the Community Space Upfit project, and you tell me.
Yeah, so what this is essentially is we are using $75,000 in funding from the American Recovery Plan Act to upfit 5 community spaces around the city. We're asking neighborhood organizations to nominate a community space in their area, and this could be a space that's owned by a neighborhood organization or not. We just want to know, where are your people meeting, and how can we facilitate that, neighborhood connectivity. We want to, put some, audio-visual equipment in there, other infrastructure, maybe accessibility upgrades to basically facilitate participation in public meetings, virtual neighborhood meetings, and then also potentially emergency briefings by the city in case of an emergency. Those community spaces will have the capability, even if the power goes out around the neighborhood or something else happens, people will know that there's a place that they can go to get updates from the city and the latest information. So we're really excited about moving that forward.
Yeah. It's been on the works for some time now. And I want to take a quick step back and ask, and maybe even just talk a little bit about the history of why it is that we're doing this and what it is that we hope to accomplish. So from my understanding, I'm not really a part of this project in the sense that I'm helping carry it forward, but I know that the main idea is to try to heal some of the harm done with the community and try to build relationships where people can meet in their spaces, their safe spaces, with their community, and still have a connection with the city in terms of, you can keep up with what it is that we're doing, any news from city council, and you own the equipment. This is not something that will be hounding you to pay for, or if it gets damaged, we're not going to ask you to pay back for the damages. We want you to upkeep them, but we're here to also help you just maintain it. Is that correct?
Yeah, we are. The exact details of who owns the equipment
It's a
will
little
be
more foggy.
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll work that out with the neighborhoods that are selected. But essentially, what you said is spot on. We're just asking neighborhoods, what types of upgrades would help you reach your people better and help your community in the efforts they're already doing to meet and stay involved. This program is tied very closely to the city's climate justice initiative, which has been running for a few years now. And what they did was they looked at all the neighborhoods in the city and looked at different aspects that will, hurt a neighborhood's climate resilience efforts or help neighborhoods, ability to respond to climate-related incidents. And what they found was that neighborhoods with traditionally less resources, more marginalized communities tend to have a harder time responding to climate-related incidents, whether it's flooding or what have you. And so this effort is helping those climate resilience efforts, helping communities which maybe don't have as many resources as others in our area have that ability to be a part of the conversation, not be limited by the need to drive into City Hall downtown.
Exactly.
If you don't have childcare, I've got 2 kids. I know that that's a big hindrance for a lot of people. And language barriers, anything that would make it harder for someone to participate in the decision-making process. We want to make that a little bit easier for them and for the folks in these communities.
Yeah, and something that we have talked about too behind the scenes is giving people the ability to watch city council without the need to show up, because I know some people either don't want to go for their personal reasons or they don't have the availability to do it, but maybe this way we can offer that opportunity and you can actually participate better, have more choices in the matter. And so my question to you is, we've talked about space upfittings. What kind of spaces are we talking about? Like, if I want to submit an application, what are my options?
Well, first of all, as far as the application process, that's open to any neighborhood that is registered with the city. But the spaces themselves do not have to be owned by that particular neighborhood. We want to know, where are the residents in your neighborhood meeting already, and can we help facilitate that? So, if it's a meeting space that's owned by a housing authority property, or if even a church or another type of meeting space, whether it's a city meeting, community center, county, we set out at the start of this project to be as flexible as possible, so that we're not swooping into neighborhoods which may have varying levels of contact with or trust in the city government. We don't want to swoop in and say, well, we're going to put these upgrades here. You're welcome. Goodbye. We really want to have the communities lead that process, tell us where they're meeting, and then once a neighborhood has been selected, we're going to bring that neighborhood together and say, what do you want to see in this space? What help them or allow them to really design the space themselves, so that these are really solutions that are driven by the community with their specific needs in mind.
So it can be any place that can house the equipment. So could it be a private business, or could it be someone's home if the size, like, I like to think creatively, but I know there's some capabilities, such as like I wouldn't put it in my attic, for example, because the equipment wouldn't fit, etc. But can it be in places where people have trust, like the building a community? Maybe it's a locally owned business or something like that.
Yeah, we we really are trying not to limit any options on the outset. So if a neighborhood nominated a community space that was someone's home or a private business, it's not impossible, but we would have to make sure, is this equipment being used for the purposes that it was being said.
Right.
There may be a few more hoops to jump through, but bottom line, we want to know where people are meeting, and that can be any space.
And you as a project manager, are you the one talking with the applicants, or is someone else also involved in the process?
Yeah, I'll be hosting a couple of informational meetings to help neighborhood organizations who are interested in applying, make sure they have all the information that they need to put forth the best application possible. And then once, and if you are involved with a neighborhood organization, and if you are interested in applying, you can get more information on that process on our public input page for the project. It's publicinput.com/community space upfit. And once that those applications come in, the application period is going to run from June 10th to July 12th. Once all the applications are in, we have a diverse team of staff members who are going to evaluate those applications, based on the needs of a neighborhood, the Climate Justice Initiative score, how threatened are they by climate related incidents, and their plan for using this equipment, what types of programs or other work that might be possible with this equipment, and from there we'll narrow it down, narrow down the applicants, and 2 community spaces.
I was going to ask, because it's $75,000 total, but
Yes.
that money will be divided among the 5 locations chosen, and the money is not divided equally. Some of them is based on the needs, but you go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry for jumping the gun there.
No, it's okay.
We so 2 community spaces are going to have budgets of up to $30,000 each for their upgrade, and then 3 community spaces will have budgets of up to $5,000 each. So 3 spaces, may get a somewhat simple, TV. Meeting camera, maybe other equipment depending on what they need, and then 2, we really want to give them the works depending on the needs that they express.
What are some of these needs or equipments that you expect for the bigger locations?
Well, really we want to leave that up to the neighborhoods themselves. I've got some ideas in mind about, some, microphones and, ways to hold virtual meetings or call in to public meetings that are being held at City Hall. There could be accessibility upgrades if, a space, maybe could be more welcoming or accessible to all residents. But, just like the type of space, we, from the start, we don't want to limit the thinking here. If a neighborhood comes to us and says, we, need a generator for potential power outages in case of an emergency, that's something that we'll consider. We really want to know, what are the unique needs of a neighborhood and of the particular space in question.
Yeah, and I've been in Nashville for 3 years now, and I don't know the history when it comes to climate crisis that have happened outside of like the water crisis a couple of years ago. So, any ice storm, any flooding, any whatever else might have happened in the past, if you lived through them and you can think of, oh, it would have been great to have power or have access to water. I assume these places can also be locations for people to gather and receive resources, such as the water crisis. I know that 211 was offering water through the fire department. But not everyone had access to go to that location, so this could be a hub of sorts for that. But also, think what could you potentially have needed in one of those situations in the past, and maybe we'll work with you to get all of that, all of the equipment for it. So, what would you add to your space if you had a big location with $30,000?
Well, if I was in charge of putting a space together for my neighborhood, I would want there to be a big screen for people to be able to watch the meeting that's in progress. Mm-hmm. At least one camera and speaker facing the participants so that we could participate in a meeting. Good coverage of microphones, maybe hanging from the ceiling, something like that. Speakers, yeah, absolutely, so that everybody can hear and be picked up without having to pass around a corded mic or what have you. And then from there, really thinking more outside the box about what would make a space more welcoming. Potentially a child play area for people who bring their kids in while they want to participate in a meeting. Mm-hmm. Or, like I mentioned earlier, a generator in case the power goes out, other options so that, no matter what happens, these spaces will be around the city. And, whether it's another water crisis, like you mentioned, or widespread power outage or, ice storms, we want, walkability and transportation access is also another big factor that we're keeping in mind. No matter what happens, people will be able to go there and, connect in good weather and bad weather, mm-hmm. To stay a part of their community.
Yeah. Don't forget, I'm just spitballing here, but those foldable tables, I think would be a great idea. If you're listening and want more ideas, if you're selected, karaoke machine, of course. But just basically anything. Don't limit it just to technology. If you happen to apply and you happen to have some more money left in the budget, like think outside of the box, like Logan said, furniture. We want you to be comfortable, we want you to be connected, and we want you to be in your own space. So, we want to make it feel as home as possible. And I was going to ask you too, so let's say that I am selected to come up with a plan for upfitting my space. Am I just going to be given the keys to the car and just say, okay, go take it for a ride and good luck? Or how's the process going to be? Because technology, like even I have to come to you for help every so often on like how to stream something. It's not the most intuitive or easiest of things. So how do you help out once the spaces have been completed?
Yeah, so, I said we wanted to be as flexible as possible. Maybe not that flexible. We do want to offer, as much guidance and assistance during the process as we, as is wanted. But, once neighborhoods have been selected, first of all, we are going to make sure that the community spaces that they nominated are, on board with this. That
Of course, yeah. I'm not going to show up to my neighborhood and be like, hey, by the way, look at all the stuff that I got.
Yeah, that's right. And but we, at that point, we will, signed some partner agreements with the spaces that have been selected, just to make sure that everybody is keeping the T's crossed and the I's dotted. But at that point, we will start meeting with residents of these neighborhoods and holding community meetings to just, ask what kind of equipment you want, and, design the spaces with their help. And then once it has been installed, then we'll have some training on how to use the equipment. We'll, work with employees or volunteers or whoever will be in charge of managing the equipment at the space to make sure that they're able to instruct others in using it. Mm-hmm. And really, just making sure that people are set up for success and the ability to hold whatever kind of programming that would be valuable to them.
Right, yeah, you don't want to just give someone all this technology and then them not knowing how to use it properly. That kind of defeats the purpose. So, if you're going to apply, just keep that bit in mind. Someone needs to step up and learn how to use the equipment and be ready to help your other community members anytime the spaces will be used. And they don't have to necessarily be used only for like city council meetings, board commission meetings, or like in cases of crisis. Like, could these spaces also be used for simply holding gatherings by the community members?
Oh, absolutely. We would very much hope so. These will be this will be equipment that can be used for city meetings, city emergency briefings, like you said, but we really hope that that's just a starting point, that once people see the value of being able to hold these this type of connectivity, that it will expand far beyond anything that we're doing, that neighborhoods will hold their own meetings there, potentially whether they're gonna open it up to nonprofits in the community to hold meetings there. Really, as long as the use is consistent with city policy and the law, we encourage people to think outside the box.
Mm-hmm. So I can watch the Super Bowl with my community members on Super Bowl night, for example.
That is there are a few things that are more community building than coming together to watch sports events. We would want to make sure that there is some aspect of furthering community and resilience.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at. Is like and that's something that you can work with the city as someone who applies. Is what are the limitations and what are the expectations? So I was just wondering what the limitations were on that end.
Yeah, and we will be checking in every 6 months or so just to see how are things going. What sort of things have you been using the equipment for? What can we help you with? How can we make sure that we're all getting the use out of this that we want to see? But we're not going to be attending all of your meetings and taking notes and that sort of thing.
Because that's the whole point.
Yeah.
Is your space.
Yeah, we really want this to be more than just a city endeavor.
Mm-hmm. And so you've mentioned that the application is open from June 10th to July 12th. How do I access the application? How do I apply?
Yeah, so that is on our public input hub, which is just the if you've never been to the City of Asheville's public input page before, it's just where we keep track of a lot of the projects that are ongoing, where we do a lot of community outreach, surveys, just to stay in touch and make sure that people are able to share their voice. The page for this particular project is publicinput.com/community space upfit. Mm-hmm. there's a page there, the application tab. It has all of the questions that will be on the application, all of the evaluation criteria to stay as transparent as possible about what we want to see in a successful application, and then there's a link to apply there.
Perfect. So that's publicinput.com/ say it one more time.
publicinput.com/community space upfit.
Perfect. And I think also if you Google it, it should also take you there, because I know that public input can be a little bit weird for some people who've never been in there before. So yes, actually, I can find it if I Google it. That's so sad. But yes, publicinput.com/community space upfit. And you'll send your application, and you'll get in touch with Logan, yours truly here in WRES, and he'll help you submit the application. And once the application process moves forward, you'll select a place, or you select the space in your application, and then select all the goodies that your space will be upfitted with. And as far as timelines, I hate promising things that are up in the air, but is there some sort of expectation on when the spaces can begin being upfitted?
We are going to try very hard to have at least some of these spaces complete by the end of the calendar year. Mm-hmm. When you are ordering tens of thousands of dollars worth of equipment, and working with vendors and all that, it's very easy for a 2-week timeline to become a 2-month timeline to become a 2-year timeline.
I know.
But we're going to do our best to at least get the project down the road as much as possible by the end of the calendar year. Sounds
good. And I imagine we'll also be putting the application links and stuff on our social media channels once the application opens. Is there anything else about this project that you want to mention, something that we may have not touched yet?
Well, like I mentioned earlier, the applications are open to neighborhood organizations, and that also includes HOAs and housing authority properties and other other organizations that are registered with the city. But if you live in a neighborhood and want your neighborhood to apply, talk to the people who are in charge of your whether it's a residents association or housing authority or wherever, and make sure they know about this. We're doing our best to make sure that all neighborhood organizations are aware of the project and can apply. But having that resident involvement and encouragement will help make sure that that neighborhoods are able to apply.
Yeah, no one wants a surprise. Two of my dogs have been surprise dogs. They were just dropped on my lap, and I love them to death, but it's always nice to have that certainty and make sure that you're ready to actually manage these spaces, because we've been talking a lot of great things about this project. The one thing that I'd be very careful about is that when you submit that application, you'll be responsible for it. So you need to be ready to maintain it. We want you to be successful, and that also means that the applicants or whoever gets the spaces, you need to be ready to maintain it. But yeah, it sounds great. I love this idea to have the community come together and create their own spaces where we're still able to provide any information the city's up to. I know it's not easy to keep up with everything that's happening, and I think this is going to go a long way. So thank you for all your work on this, Logan.
Thank you, Sam. Hopefully this will make it a little easier for people to keep up.
For you too. Well, that is all the time we have today. I just want to give a quick shout out to the Department of the Asheville Business Inclusion Office. They're hosting an event on June 29 at the municipal building, the 4th floor of the fire/police station by Pack Square. June 29. From 8 a.m. to noon, and this will be an opportunity for you and anyone you know who owns a business, small business owner, to come get a sign up with the city and hopefully be able to participate in future projects and have your business grow with us. But yes, show up, and thank you again, Logan. And this is all the time we have today here on WRES 100.7 FM. What's up, Asheville? Be good to one another, and I'll see you next time.
You've been listening to What's Up Asheville, sponsored by the City of Asheville in collaboration with WRES 100.7 FM. This program will re-air every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 12:30. Thank you for listening.